So we will begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are beginning a new chapter. Just gonna adjust the camera here for a sec. Okay. So we are starting today. I believe it's Canto 7, and we are starting chapter 3 today, entitled Hiranyakashipu's Plan to Become Immortal. So we will read the chapter summary. So I'll read the chapter summary and then we'll read text number 1. So this chapter describes how Hiranyakashipu performed a severe type of austerity for material benefit, thus causing great distress throughout the universe. Even Lord Brahma, the chief personality within this universe, became somewhat disturbed and personally went to see why Hiranyakashipu was engaged in such a severe austerity. Hiranyakashipu wanted to become immortal. He wanted not to be conquered by anyone, not to be attacked by old age and disease, and not to be harassed by any opponent. Thus, he wanted to become the absolute ruler of the entire universe. With this desire, he entered the valley of Mandara mountain and began practicing a severe type of austerity and meditation. Seeing Hiranyakashipu engaged in this austerity, the demigods returned to their respective homes. But while Hiranyakashipu was thus engaged, a kind of fire began blazing from his head, disturbing the entire universe and its inhabitants, including the birds, beasts, and demigods. When all the higher and lower planets became too hot to live on, the demigods, being disturbed, left their abodes in the higher planets and went to see Lord Brahma, praying to him that he curtail his unnecessary heat. The demigods disclosed to Lord Brahma Hiranyakashipu's ambition to become immortal, overcoming his short duration of life, and to be the master of all the planetary systems, even Dhruvaloka. Upon hearing about the purpose of Hiranyakashipu's austere meditation, Lord Brahma, accompanied by the great sage Bhrigu and great personalities like Daksha, went to see Hiranyakashipu. He then sprinkled water from his kamandalu, a type of water pot, upon Hiranyakashipu's head. Hiranyakashipu, the king of the Daityas, bowed down before Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe, offering respectful obeisances again and again, and offering prayers. When Lord Brahma agreed to give him benedictions, he prayed not to be killed by any living entity, not to be killed in any place, covered or uncovered, not to die in the daytime or at night, not to be killed by any weapon on land or in the air, and not to be killed by any human being, animal, demigod, or any other entity, living or non-living. He further prayed for supremacy over the entire universe and requested the 8 yogic perfections, such as Anima and Lagima. So we'll read together this Canto 7, Chapter 3, text number 1. Shri Narada Uvacha Hiranyakashipu Rajan Ajayam Ajaramaram Atmanam Apratidvandvam Ekarajam Vyadhi Sata. Any Prabhus would like to read?
Shri Narada Uvacha Hiranyakashipu Rajan Ajayam Ajaramaram Atmanam Aprati Dvandvam Eka Rajam Yatishthata.
Anyone else?
Shri Narada Uvacha Hiranyakashipurajan Ajayam Ramaram Atmanam Aprativandvam Ekarajam Vyadhisata.
Word for word. Shri Narada Uvacha. Narada Muni said, Hiranyakashipu, the demoniac king Hiranyakashipu, Rajan, O King Yudhisthira, Ajayam, unconquerable by any enemy, Ajara, without old age or disease, Amaram, immortal, Atmanam, himself, Apratidvandvam, without any rival or opponent, Ekarajam, the one king of the universe, Yaditsata, desire to become. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Narada Muni said to Maharaj Yudhisthira, the demoniac king Hiranyakashipu wanted to be unconquerable and free from old age and dwindling of the body. He wanted to gain all the yogic perfections like anima and lagima, to be deathless, and to be the only king of the entire universe, including Brahma Loka. Purport. Such are the goals of the austerities performed by demons. Hiranyakashipu wanted to receive a benediction from Lord Brahma so that in the future he would be able to conquer Lord Brahma's abode. Similarly, another demon received a benediction from Lord Shiva, but later wanted to kill Lord Shiva through that same benediction. Thus, self-interested persons by demoniac austerity want to kill even their benedictors, whereas the Vaishnava wants to remain an ever-existing servant of the Lord and never to occupy the post of the Lord. Through Sayuja Mukti, which is generally demanded by asuras, one merges into the existence of the Lord. But although one sometimes thus receives the goal of the theory of monism, one falls down again to struggle in material existence. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'll read the Om. verse one more time. Narada Muni said to Maharaj Yudhisthira, the demoniac king Hiranyakashipu wanted to be unconquerable and free from old age and dwindling of the body. He wanted to gain all the yogic perfections like Anima and Lagima, to be deathless, and to be the only king of the entire universe, including Brahma Loka. So, just a recap here. When I first read this part about Narada Muni speaking to Maharaj Yudhisthira, so this is the description of King Parikshit. He was asking a question to Sukadev Goswami, and Sukadev Goswami started to narrate to him this pastime where Maharaj Yudhisthira is sitting in the Rajasuya sacrifice. I believe that's what it's called, as a big sacrifice that he was performing, and he invited Krishna and all the sages and invited so many, or was it as Ashwamedha Yagya. I'm sorry, maybe I have the two confused. So at this yagna, Narada Muni was present, and so Maharaj Yudhisthira was asking Narada Muni different questions, and so Narada Muni was responding, and he went into this pastime. Of course, as we heard, one of the topics that was being asked was about the Lord's quality of where he is impartial. So then there's that was the question to his, because he had killed Danta. He had killed the two demons, Dantavakra and Shishupal. So when Yudhisthira Maharaj saw that he had killed Shishupal, then this question arises as to if he's favoring the devotees or, killing demons. So where's his impartiality? And so, and also he was questioning not only that he killed them, but he personally saw that these individuals achieved that Sayujya Mukti, where they merged into the body of the Lord. So he was wondering how this person, although he was, so antagonistic to the Lord, could receive such a benediction. And so then he goes on to talk about this pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and the demon, the next birth of the demons is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, who were, they were cursed in different lives to take forms as demons, originally from their form as the doorkeepers in Vaikuntha. They were cursed by the four Kumaras, and so this is one of the births. Hiranyakashipu, we finished hearing his philosophical explanations to pacify the wife of his deceased brother, Hiranyaksha. And so now we're going into the part of his desire, and what are those desires, and we're getting clarification about the nature of these desires and how they're actually demoniac, which are based on the idea of that we're the material body, that we're made up of material qualities, and therefore the interactions of these material qualities and perfecting them or securing them is somehow going to allow us to achieve success and happiness. So this is the misconception based out of that one principle. Like the example I hear a lot is how mathematicians, they have various formulas, which in conclusion they get all kinds of theories or results that can lead to creation of greater things. But if the beginning of the formula is wrong, then the results of the equation, the ending result, is completely off. So all of the endeavors of those, and like Hiranyakashipu, who have these desires, if they're all based on this understanding of being the body that's made up of the material qualities, then all the rest that follows is it's going to lead to a result that's not so favorable and lasting, um, in relation to the nature of the real self, which is the spiritual being. And our nature is, of course, Satchit Ananda, to be eternal, be full of bliss and full of knowledge. So this was the misunderstanding of Hiranyakashipu, and that demoniac nature is missing the whole point that the soul is already full of these things which we're searching for, but due to the misconception of the self, then we look for it in the material qualities. And Prabhupada is acknowledging that he performed all these austerities, but he entitles them demoniac austerities because the goal is of demoniac nature. And of course, the culmination of the desire to want to be the supreme controller, the supreme enjoyer, that's the epitome of the, that mentality, demoniac mentality. And Prabhupada is making a really nice point in relation to also not just the desires, but along with that desire, what is the general tendency of someone who is stuck in this concept of life, that not only do they go to others for help or benedictions, but they want to supersede and even take over or kill those that are their benefactors. And of course, I mean, the closest thing in my reality that I could see that very clearly without being political would be like the mafia. The mentality of a mafia person is very much in that line, that they do whatever it takes to get to the top, and if it means killing those who have helped them along the way, then so be it. Yes, it's quite intense quality to have, is this demoniac quality. And Prabhupada is giving the example of the pastime of Lord Shiva, which inspired me to go back and read this pastime from the Krishna book. And it's amazing because even within that pastime, before Prabhupada gets into the discussion of the pastime, he's going through various points as far as the differences between the devotees and the non-devotees. Not even just those who are demoniac, but those who have this desire for some fruitive results, and that desire to have some fruit or some material acquisition, that falls in the category of non-devotees, because devotees don't work with that mentality. And so he's given a lot of nice points, which I thought to share. But before sharing some of those points, just to go into a brief overview of that particular pastime, of where Lord Shiva was being worshipped by one particular demon who was advised by Narada Muni to go and perform these austerities to achieve his desire, which was ultimately this demon, he wanted to enjoy the position of Lord Shiva. And of course, Lord Shiva's position is that he is the master of Parvati, Durga, the representative of material energy and material qualities. So, in that sense, he got the advice from Narada Muni to go and worship Lord Shiva. So he went and he performed so many austerities, and up to the point where he was even cutting off his own flesh and offering it into the fire. And Lord Shiva, being compassionate and seeing that, okay, this poor soul is wanting to kill himself over this. So Lord Shiva is known as one who is easily pleased and also easily angered. And as we know, Lord Shiva is a demigod, and he is a very specially situated personality. He's also Mahadev, he's a great devotee of the Lord. So naturally, he's very compassionate. So he went there, and this demon, I think it's Vrikasura, Vrikasura, he asked for the benediction that whoever's head he would, or wherever he would place his hand on the head, that personality, they would split in half or die. So as soon as he got that benediction, then he immediately went after Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, he was running away from this individual, and he finally he took shelter of the Lord Vishnu, and asked for his help. And so the Lord said, "Don't worry," and he disguised himself as a Brahmana and came before the demon Vrikasura. And of course, there's further explanation about the mentality of the demoniac nature, that they tend to become quite concerned with their body and their mind and their well-being. And so the Lord used these tendencies in a way to convince him that that he was exhausted, looking tired, so he better rest. So he took a little seat, he stopped chasing after Lord Shiva, and then from there he began to, with his own the Lord's mystic abilities, he was able to cover the 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 nature of this demon of his doubts. And he basically convinced him that, oh, how could you trust this Shiva? And he look where he hangs out and what he does, and you don't actually think he has the ability to give you this kind of blessing. And so that way he bewildered him, and he said, just try it out, you can try it on your own self and see, it doesn't even work. And so he convinced him, and then of course Rika sort of touched his own head and finished. So like this, the position of the devotees of the Lord is they are always blessed and protected. And so the demigods, they are devotees, and they can give as much as they're able to, but they ultimately cannot give um, the blessings which Lord Vishnu can give. And so that's described in Gita also, where, according to those that you worship, you receive the results. So those who worship demigods, they go to the higher planets. Those who worship the forefathers, they go to the planet of the forefathers. And those who worship the Supreme Lord, they go to the Supreme Abode. And to continue here about the this Sayuja Mukti, of where they merge, the asuras merge into the existence of the Lord. In this case, we know that the asura, or Hiranyakashipu, he is coming from a particular curse, and so there was an allotted period of time that he had before going back to his original service. And Prabhupada is clarifying here in his purport that although one might achieve this theory of monism, or this goal of merging into one, it's not a permanent position, and so one falls down again into the struggle of material existence. There was some really nice points from this pastime of Lord Shiva. Give me 1 second here. Just pulling it up. And so there's a lot of examples that Prabhupada is giving as far as the nature of the Lord. And so this discussion of the pastime of Lord Shiva being saved by Lord Vishnu, it came about because King Yudhisthira was asking Krishna about this action of Shishupal and the mercy that he received. I think I got it confused, but yeah, but it was a similar situation. So Narada Muni is describing to King Yudhisthira this incident. And so here Prabhupada he's making a point that the position of Krishna and his potencies, and one of the names he gives to Krishna is Sarvadrik, or he is the overseer of all the actions of the internal and external potencies. So he's overseeing all of this, and he also is described as Upadrashta, the supreme advisor, and so he's advising all the advisors of the universe, which are the demigods. And this is important because nothing in this world happens without the sanction of the Lord. And although there's different questions that were raised, like one example is of the demigods and the worship between the demigods, worshiping the demigods and worshiping the Lord. Generally, there's the understanding that people worship the demigods because they want some material opulence. They want some happiness, material happiness. Whereas the devotees, they understand that the material happiness and these material qualities really have nothing to do with them and their experience as spiritual beings. So then comes the question that Yudhisthira Maharaj asked about, why is it that although Lord Shiva is so seemingly poverty stricken and doesn't even live in a house, and all of his followers are extremely opulent and wealthy, and then you look at Lord Vishnu and you see his followers, they tend to be poverty stricken and not so wealthy. And so, there's quite a bit of explanation as to this understanding of how Krishna is the source of everything, and he reciprocates with his devotees' love. And that reciprocation can come in different ways. And Prabhupada gives the example, just like a loving parent sometimes has to act or do things in a way to help the children, even if it may appear to be initially a bit, disciplinary, like not letting them do something or punishing them or taking away something. And so, one of the qualities that's given to Krishna, which is also attributed to his devotees, is nirguna, which means nirguna means, Prabhupada gives a nice definition. It means to be bereft of material opulence, because material opulence means an increase of the actions and reactions of the three material qualities. So, in that sense, that's one meaning that Prabhupada gives of nirguna. And then he also gives another meaning, which on the positive side also means to achieve eternal peace, fearlessness, religiousness, knowledge, and renunciation. And so when a devotee is experiencing these, Prabhupada describes that these are symptoms of becoming free from the contamination of the material qualities. And another point, too, that for devotees, as far as this pastime of Lord Shiva being protected, and also in the current pastime of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj being protected, as we know, Krishna is all satisfied. He is satisfied by nature. But when Krishna sees that others, especially his devotees, when they're being protected, this is his main goal, is to protect his devotees. And when he sees that others benefit from hearing and discussing about these different pastimes and other persons getting benefited, this is also even more pleasing to the Lord. And the example is this Marge Yudhisthira, in his asking these different questions, the Lord was becoming more and more happy and more satisfied. And that's the nature of Lord Krishna's words and his discussions, is that it benefits everybody. So even the Lord discussing with one devotee, Prabhupada describes it's not only meant for that devotee, but it's meant for all devotees. And he says, indeed, it's meant for the entire human society. So the instructions we hear from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, they're important for all devotees, even on the level of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and other demigods. And so the advice being given is that we take advantage of these instructions, and that we, don't become unfortunate and not taking advantage of this. And so the instruction, of course, is to understand the position of Krishna and see the position of where we really are, and also the importance of serving Krishna above all, versus trying to serve the demigods or worship the demigods in a way as to try to somehow achieve material acquisitions. And the other part of question is that sometimes the question can come up that devotees may seemingly be within the same category as those who are trying to achieve fruitive results. In other words, sometimes devotees may seem very poverty-stricken, sometimes they may seem very wealthy. They may be put into miserable conditions, and everyone suffers in this world. So there's a question that if the devotees are so dear to the Lord, then why do they also have to go through all these things? But Prabhupada is clearly explaining that the devotees, because they love the Lord and they're trying to serve the Lord, sometimes as a loving father, Krishna will give them special mercy by taking away certain material things. And Krishna very straightforwardly tells you, just dear Maharaj, it takes away the material opulence, and then the family, of course, no longer is interested in such a person, and so they're bereft of this. And sometimes the devotee, feeling so much grief and loss, will try again to regain some sort of material opulence or position, and they become even more frustrated. And it's very important to understand that for a devotee, it's not due to one's past impious activities, or what Prabhupada says, karma fall, or the fruits of impious activities, but that the poverty of the devotee is created by the personality of Godhead, to bring him to the point to desire, to increase his desire, and to come back to his only desiring the service of the Lord. And similarly, when a devotee becomes materially opulent, Prabhupada said this is also not due to his pious activities. So in either case, if a devotee becomes poorer or richer, this is all the arrangement of the Lord, of Krishna, just so that he can make his devotee completely dependent on him and to free him from all material obligations. So it's a very individual thing, and the goal is that one can become free from all the material obligations, and then he can concentrate his energies, mind and body, everything, for the service of the Lord, and that is pure devotional service. And then there's this famous verse Prabhupada quotes, Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam, which is another way of saying that one becomes freed from all these designations, to think that I belong to this certain family, I belong to the nation, I belong to this species. So being stated in devotional service, one becomes free from these, and which is actually quite attractive, because when you know that what you're doing is no longer going to give you some bondage or some karmic results, it's quite attractive. Especially Prabhupada says it's attractive for the gyanis as well, those who are very philosophically inclined, or searching after the truth in a intellectual way. And so this is what Prabhupada describes as Naishkarmya, when we work for the pleasure of the Lord and we don't receive any fruits from that, or any reactions. And because the devotees are situated in this platform, then they are not actually receiving happiness and distress as a result of karma, but the happiness and distress is coming directly as a result of their relationship to the Lord, understanding that He's arranging these different experiences so that the devotee can become more dependent on Him. And so therefore the devotee doesn't really care whether he is in happiness and distress or in distress, and he goes on performing his devotional duties. And the important thing is to see that devotees, although it may appear that they're acting out of this subjugation of action and reaction, but actually no, devotees are free from this. And yeah, I mean, there's another pastime cited here, but we have about 15 minutes. So before I go on, I thought I'd just open up the conversation for any reflections or comments, or if anybody would like to add anything at this time.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Shyam Sundar Prabhu.
Thanks for the really nice class.
Sorry.
I thought it ironic. Hiranyakashipu, in the last chapter, he was talking about the nature of the soul to console his family. But then here he's kind of like contradicting that whole section by doing austerities just for his body. You know, he knows he's eternal, yet he wants to have an eternal body and do all this and all that. So it kind of made me think, you know, as devotees, we learn the scriptures, but I'm sure if we develop these unrestricted attachments, that's the term I heard. Avi wrote a treatise in Nectar of Instruction, then we could learn the scriptures, but still end up like Hiranyakashipu, where we can speak nicely to others to console them, but still have demoniac desires. So how, say as a devotee, would I continue learning scriptures, but not end up in a case where I can use them for my purposes, but be cultivating demoniac desires?
Hey, Prabhu. I mean, as devotees, I just briefly said, like, you know, the example that Prabhupada gave is that devotees, you know, Krishna, to show his mercy as a loving father, sometimes he'll put us in situations to frustrate our material desires, so that we can come to our senses again. So once you come to Krishna and you sincerely try, Krishna reciprocates, and he does what's needed to help the devotees so that they can give up those tendencies.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thanks. Yeah, so he'll make it hard on us like he gave Hiranyakashipu that son Prahlad Maharaj. And we
Well, that
can
would be
choose.
a blessing to get to get a Mahajan. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was his chance to turn around and go the devotional route. So we all get chances then, I suppose, and we can choose to react properly.
Yes. Yeah. Krishna. There's that prayer like at the end of serving the deities where one of the last prayers is that, my Lord, knowing that you promised that you are the you know, that you're this, I can't remember the exact word, but you're like the sustainer of your devotees. Therefore, I feel like my life heirs can go on, knowing that Krishna is taking care and that he will ultimately, you know, sustain me in my devotional service. Even there's so many, you know, imperfections and disqualifications. So that's the prayer.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any Prabhus would like to comment, question?
Hare Krishna, Mat.
Hare Krishna.
I'm expressing my sadness to see you and your beloved daughter from our community, because the insights that you share on Srimad Bhagavatam, and just also yours and your daughter's uplifting association. You definitely will be missed. So thank you for just adding to the pot of just joint affection for Radha Damodar and just increasing the the bliss of devotional service at Gita Nagari. So thank you.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. So encouraging.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tharka Prabhu.
I too would like to express my gratitude for your kind service and the association of yourself and your family members. It's been uplifting and inspiring for all of us. And I have a comment, and I'm trying to formulate a question. Bear with me because I am a bearer of a little brain and I'm foggy. But one point of clarification I wanted to offer is that while devotional service is a karma, and our understanding is that for initiated devotees or any sincere individual who's attempting to follow the path of bhakti, Krishna personally engineers the circumstances of their life for their upliftment and purification. And so the particular circumstances and events of a devotee's life, as you stated, is not the result of karma necessarily. However, there is, Srila Prabhupada explains, for particularly for those beginning on the path of bhakti, there will be some token reaction, not the full reaction for one's previous activities, that is nullified by the grace and mercy of Guru and Krishna, but there may still be some small token reaction, which may serve as a reminder and of one's past mistakes, a reminder of the kindness and mercy of Guru and Krishna, and a reminder that we should not make those mistakes again. It's educational in a bunch of ways, but Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the inertia of a spinning fan, that even you remove it from the power source, the fan continues to spin for some time, eventually coming to a stop, but it winds down gradually. And so he explains that material reactions similarly do not necessarily immediately cease, but that they gradually wind down once one ceases to energize them by full investment in material activity. So that's my point of clarification. Then my question, and I'm having some trouble to formulate this, but you were talking about the fact that within the scope of material nature, nothing happens without Krishna's sanction. And Srila Prabhupada sometimes quotes the aphorism that not a blade of grass can move without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. And sometimes it happens in spiritual life that devotees experience various difficulties, and I'm I'm going to speak now particularly about in interpersonal relationships that um, historically I have seen at least. I've seen a lot of things in 50 some odd years of Krishna consciousness. So there are certain recurrent themes, certain things that happen commonly. And one of the um, issues that that devotees often face is difficulties um, in their relationship with temple management or even the GBC. Um, that sometimes they go through various tribulations, which they um, uh, um, will attribute to their authority. That I'm suffering in this way and that way because my authority has done this or that, or because they themselves are not pure, or they don't understand me, or they're making a mistake in this way or that way. Um, and and if we then try to help them to understand a broader scope of what's happening in their life, that there are factors and circumstances beyond what is immediately present before you. There are divine factors. There may be some element of token reactions. There may be Krishna's direct involvement, his own engineering of your circumstances for your purification. Um, um, you have imperfect senses. You may be making a mistake. You may be misperceiving things. You may be projecting. Maya is very powerful. Our minds can deceive us in so many ways. And if we try to help a devotee to understand a broader perspective, particularly in recent years, um, this is a phenomenon that I have only seen maybe within the last um, couple of decades, is that devotees will often respond by suggesting that you are gaslighting them. You are enabling the abuses of a manager who is somehow off the rails and mistreating devotees, and you are implicated in the abuses because you are preaching in a manner which is serving to enable the abuse. You are giving justification somehow, and failing to understand where the fault really lies, and so no corrective action is taken, and the abuses continue. Um, but this idea contrasts sharply with the idea that everything is under Krishna's control. So, how does one reconcile that contrast, and how can one help a devotee to understand um, reality, the ultimate reality, the facts of what's really going on in their life, um, without simply being labeled as an enabler and being accused of gaslighting when you have no intention of doing such a thing, but simply trying to help them to understand the facts. Um, this is just something that I personally experience on a regular basis lately, and it's a conundrum. It's a difficult problem. I'm curious to know if you have any thoughts to contribute on this.
Well, Prabhu, that's that's generally a big topic for management, and those in a position to lead and personally deal with each individual on their particular case. I mean, I'm sure Dhruva Prabhu and others have their fair share of experience and insight. I'm not really in a management position, and I only ran a small center for a little, but yeah, it's quite unfortunate. And the only thing, I mean, that could really come to my mind, as far as I see, is personalities that are fairly realized and actually have developed their spiritual qualities and are beyond the influence of the modes of nature. Their purity generally has a greater effect on individuals than just you know trying to philosophically reason. So for example, like my spiritual master, Sonis Radna Swami, he has different ways in which he deals with these particular issues, and sometimes even someone on his level, um, he's able to help so many, and then there are others who, even after trying to give guidance and console, still they choose to go on a rampage. Um, so it's unfortunate that I feel there are measurements and there are ways that things can be addressed, and they are being addressed, but it's not necessarily that everyone's ready in their particular path. For various reasons, they're not quite ready to um, move forward. And it maybe takes some time of maturation before they um, can realize the deeper care that's trying to be given. So those are just some thoughts I had, that everything, between the Lord and his devotees, everything is coming from a place of love and goodwill. Um, for example, there's one girl that I was serving with. She was helping me as I was managing, and she comes from a background where she was very distressed. She had a lot of trauma, and so everything I would do and say what basically appeared to her like I was doing something intentionally wrong, which I wasn't. So like this, I know that now they're doing more. They're trying to give more training to leaders as far as how to deal with various traumas, how to address different psychological issues or different cases that people may be coming from, and just building an awareness how to help individuals, in a way that they can feel their needs are more met. Um, so, I mean that I feel like there's a lot of these things are coming up, but there's also, along with it, it's kind of driving us to um, look into ways of how to reach out to persons according to what they need. I don't know if that helps Prabhu at all, but I'm sure there are others who could share more insight. But thank you. I think about it all the time.
That does help a lot. I appreciate your comments very much. Yeah, thank you. Uh, yeah, training for leaders is an important element because, as you say, there are individuals who have some individuals are traumatized from various experiences. It's very hard for them to see beyond what they have been through, and um, they sometimes will tend to always feel as though they are a victim somehow, even when individuals, as you say, are sincerely trying to help them. Individuals who are genuinely on their side may be perceived to be otherwise, which is really unfortunate. So it's very challenging. It's very challenging trying to deal with the different types of problems that arise. Um, Education certainly helps. There's different kinds of education, but education which is uh, in relationship to um, devotional service somehow or other is valuable. Um, I've learned a great many things over the course of years. Uh, they have served me well in a bunch of ways. It's becoming somehow increasingly more difficult and more challenging to try to share what I've learned. Um, there's, I feel as though um, the scale of Maya's resistance to our movement has been stepped up significantly. The variety of challenges um, and the nature of them, it's I feel like it's more challenging than it used to be in earlier days. And the battlefield now seems to be um, somehow in the field of psychology. We're having to deal with all kinds of psychological and emotional issues, and it's for many of us, it's not a familiar territory. We can benefit from hearing from others who have more experience, um, because it's a difficult thing. It's very really challenging to deal with. I think we'll see more and more of the challenges, and I think we'll also improve in our ability to deal with them as time goes on. Thank you again. You and your family will be missed. I bid you farewell and wish you well in all your Krishna conscious endeavors, and I will pray for your safe travel. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. And we're past time. So I'm guessing with all of your permission, we can end here on Bhagavatam class. Any other final things? Not, we will end here. Jai. Thank you. Prabhu's Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.